Dziękuję, agus falcharash. Today, I'd like to sit down with all of you and have a cup of tea and talk about Duolingo and why I love it and also why I think it's not enough. Now, Duolingo is a wonderful app. In fact, it's gotten people all over the world to try Irish and to possibly, hopefully, fall in love with the language. And it was one of the first places that I was really able to get basic vocabulary, basic grammar, basic sentence structure, and learn those things. And while it isn't perfect, and there's plenty of memes out there to discuss, you know, some of the weird sentences that it has, the woman is in the fridge is one that's pretty famous. And while those sentences might not be practical in certain respects, they do still teach valuable sentence structure and grammar. It's a good platform to start diving into Irish. It's kind of the place where you dip your toe in before you wade out into the rest of the ocean. You know, this wading pool that we call Duolingo has a lot of good uses, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like, well, I don't like it. It doesn't give enough examples. It doesn't give enough grammar. It doesn't really teach you a whole lot. But they either might be using it incorrectly, or they might just be at that point where they're advanced enough in their learning where they've outgrown Duolingo. So again, Duolingo is the baby pool. You know, you dip your toe in, it can go up to your shin, but it's not going to go much higher. So with Duolingo, you get that little bit of a nudge into a language, and they do that for so many marginalized languages. I really have to hand it to them that they put forth so many marginalized languages that it really does help with keeping these languages going, keeping interest and global interest in these languages going, so that it's not just the local area that these languages are home to that's trying to carry that weight. And really and truly, that's what's going to help these languages, you know, get somewhere to grow, is that use on a wider scale. So languages like Hawaiian that they've picked up, and Navajo, they even have conlangs like Elvish and Klingon, I think even. So the fact that they want to have fun and play around with languages and help these, you know, lesser known languages or less popular languages or less spoken languages, it's really, really good. That's why I think, you know, supporting Duolingo is worth it. Definitely worth it. And they add new things all the time, and they're always striving to improve some things. They're always open to feedback on all of the questions and answers and things that are in the app. So when you submit some feedback, it may, you know, take a little while, but it will spark change for them to correct the things that they might have wrong or further explain things that may be unclear. And I do know that on the app, it can be hard to access some of the other notes and grammar notes. But on the computer version, if you go to their website and log in there and use it, you can access all of the grammar notes and things like that, and you learn a lot more that way. There's also I think the app now has access to it, but it used to not. The comments under each question, that people could discuss the comments or ask, why is this way, why is it that way, why is this word used and not this one. And there's a discussion under each of these questions, and going into that can really teach you something. If there's something about one of the questions that you just don't quite get, then you can certainly go into the discussion area, the comments area, and see what some people who have given feedback who may be more knowledgeable. There's a lot of good people that go and answer questions like that on Duolingo, even though they might not use Duolingo themselves anymore. They might have outgrown it, but they go back and help people who are using it. So there is a sense of community there as well. And you know, for those reasons, I love Duolingo. So it's great. It's problem Duolingo. But it is not enough. And this is where, you know, it becomes important to supplement Duolingo with other things. And I will speak from my own experience. For a long while, I had one textbook. It's the Learn Irish one. It is a bit difficult to get through, especially if you're 100% beginning and you don't have any idea how pronunciation works and spelling works. You know, it can be very difficult to wade through. But that's where Duolingo got me used to the pronunciations, used to the spellings, used to all of those things, and then I could go back to that textbook. Those were really my only two resources at that time. So that was when I started to feel that I had outgrown Duolingo, and I went looking for other resources. So I went and found Irish media, so things like T.G. Cahir, T.G. Lurgan, shops like Unshappalauer and Litriot.com. I think I found Litriot.com first and was able to get books like Unhubbed, which I still want to read. I haven't taken the dip into that. When I bought it, it was much more advanced than I was at the time in the language. So I want to try it again now that I'm a bit more higher on the intermediate spectrum in the language, and use it to really stretch my understanding of the language and my vocabulary even further. So once you reach that intermediate area, it's, some people call it the intermediate plateau, which it can be, because you have to start using it outside of just this textbook or this app, and it has to become ingrained in your use as far as speaking, reading, listening. All of those things have to be something you consume, something you produce as an output, whether you're writing or speaking. So those things are what take you to the next step and get you off that intermediate plateau. So that is the type of level that Duolingo really doesn't help with. So, and it is a level that requires those outside resources, different areas of media, songs, books, podcasts. There are so many. Mother Folklore's podcast is a really good one. It is mostly in English, but they talk a lot about the Irish language and different vocabulary words in the Irish language, which is really helpful. And also, it is just helpful in general to learn culture. And by culture, I mean both historical and current culture. Irish culture has changed and evolved just as any other country has evolved over the past decades or centuries. So if you learn historical Irish culture only, it's not going to be very representative of what's continuing there now and what's current now, the current issues that they're having, the current perspectives that they have. So all of that evolves, and learning the current history is also really good. So Mother Folklore's podcast covers a lot of that too. There are other podcasts as well, such as like Fada's Farshing, which I listen to test my listening skills. They are usually very clear. Now sometimes the guests, their microphones and things aren't as clear, and it can be really hard, but listening to the hostess herself is really easy for that. And then also YouTube channels. So one that has just started up, Gaeltacht Greenville, she has started a YouTube channel, and listening to her speak, she's very clear when she speaks. So she can speak very quickly, so that can be a challenge, but she's very clear when she speaks. So that's another website that I would recommend, or YouTube channel, Kieran the A, and many of the people we've interviewed, like Dane, his YouTube channel as well. He speaks very slowly and clearly, and it's really good for people in that lower intermediate level, or beginners even, to get that pronunciation. And I like watching his videos just to learn new phrases, and it's really helpful. So media like that is what takes what Duolingo gives you and, really steps it up. So you go from the kiddie pool, you go from the wading pool, and I know kiddie pool almost sounds derogatory, but you go from the wading pool or the shallow end, and you go into the deeper areas of the water as far as the language goes. So that's why Duolingo is not enough to get you to a level where you feel like you're comfortable with the language. I am hesitant to say anything in the realm of fluent or fluency because, and I'll make another video on this as well, why I don't like that term, but that is the one most people are familiar with. But if you want to have that as a goal, if you want to be able to communicate, which is really what languages are, so if you want to be able to communicate well and communicate on a level that you have as a goal, Duolingo will get you started, but it cannot get you all the way there. So those are the reasons why I both love Duolingo and think that it is not quite enough. So I hope that you'll find this video useful. I hope that you'll let me know in the comments what your experience with Duolingo has been, whether it's been your entryway into the language, whether it's been very helpful for you, whether it's just fun to do also. So, it's kind of like a game. But let me know your experience with Duolingo in the comments. Also, if you've reached that point where you've outgrown Duolingo, let me know what else you've found. What else has helped you beyond that to get to the level you are now and to help you work towards your level in the language that is your goal. So let me know in the comments. I look forward to hearing from all of you, and I look forward to interacting with you there as well. So I'll see you in the next video. Slangeful.